Hey everyone, Brandon Ritchie here with Ritchie Creative. Hey, if you're looking for a place chock full of strategies, tools, and resources to help you and your church or you and your ministry reach new people in your community through your website, through your online presence, then you've come to the right place. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so that you never miss an episode. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the 4-part framework that we've used to help hundreds of churches reach new people in their community, hit their online objectives. And I'm going to show you how you can implement this into your website as well. If you're a pastor or church leader, maybe you have a website, but it's not converting website visitors to actual visitors through the doors of your actual physical church location, then this video is for you. But first, we need to talk through, why is church website strategy important to begin with? Can't you just throw up a website with your logo, with your phone number, with your address? Why do we need to spend so much time thinking about an intentional strategy for our church and for our ministry? Well, there's a couple statistics that I think that you'll find pretty interesting. Here's one. This is a statistic from Church Extension Plan. It says the average church sees 6 to 10% of their first-time guests return for a second visit. That's extremely low. So that means if people are visiting your church, it means they're going once and they're probably not going to come back. Here's another one. This one is from Gray Matter. It says 17 million people who aren't regular church goers visit church websites each year. So there's a lot of people lurking on church websites. They're clicking through pages, but they're not actually visiting the church. So not only is the return rate extremely low for people who are visiting your church once but then not coming back, but also the amount of people who are actually visiting your website, clicking through your pages, looking into your church website, they're actually not showing up. And so what can we do to, number one, get those people to actually not just be website visitors, but be visitors to your actual church location? But then number two, keep them coming back a second time, a third time, and hopefully be able to invite them in as members to your church so they can have a deeper relationship, not only with your community at your local church, but also a deeper relationship with God and with Jesus Christ as well. So before we get into the 4-part framework that I would recommend you implement into your church or ministry website, let's talk about the outdated model. This is what churches are doing, and maybe you can relate to this. And it's an outdated model that just doesn't work. And essentially it's this: you sign up for a Subsplash account or a Clover account, or really just any of those church targeted website builders. They're not strategy builders. They are website builders. And so they want to make it as easy as possible. With the click of a button, you can have a church website. The problem is, if all you're doing is picking a template, changing your logo, changing the church name, and then that's your church website, that is a cookie cutter website. And if you have a cookie cutter website or a cookie cutter strategy for your website, you're going to get cookie cutter results. So you need to be intentional. Every audience is different. Every location is different. Every denomination is different. And so you want to target the people that are in your community to get them through the doors of your church. So the first part of this 4-part framework that you need to focus on before you do anything else is be extremely clear on your mission. What are the objectives? What are the goals that you're trying to accomplish on your church website? Zig Ziglar used to say, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. You want to make sure that you're actually having goals that are measurable. They're SMART goals. I would recommend setting intentional goals for your church website. Maybe it's a certain amount of an increase, a certain percent of increase of people that are visiting your church for the first time on a given Sunday, or monthly or quarterly. Maybe it has to do with your giving percentages. Maybe it has to do with the amount of people that are actually showing up to events versus the amount of people that register for events but don't show up. But whatever those objectives are, be very, very clear, write them down. The fact is, pastors and church leaders, they're very, very calculated with so many other parts of their ministry, from what they preach on Sunday morning to how they're nurturing volunteers at their church. But for some reason, website strategy kind of ends up on the back burner. Make sure that you're setting really good goals. They're SMART goals. They're measurable, and you're able to test them over time. And then course correct. Sometimes you need to tweak your goals or change your goals. Don't let your goals be stagnant. Don't let it be one thing that you write down one time and then forget about it. But you need to keep them at the forefront. In fact, the next 3 lenses of this 4-part framework need to point to this first lens. They all need to point towards mission. So make sure that before you do anything else, you're focusing on mission. What is the purpose? What is the objective of our church or ministry website? From there, once you're very clear on mission, the second part of this 4-part framework is your messaging. Now, this is something that a lot of churches leave out, but it's incredibly important that you are crafting an intentional messaging framework for your church website, because this is the thing that is going to either convince somebody to go somewhere else, to check out, to go to a different church website, or convince them to be invited into your website, into your community. And so I always recommend having a very, very clear clarity statement right at the top of your website above the fold. That is actually the most important piece of real estate on your entire church website. But you'd be surprised how many church websites right there above the fold just say something like, "We're glad you're here," or "You're invited," or something like that. Well, that can be the same clarity statement that belongs to a nonprofit or a for-profit business. So I always recommend having a clarity statement right there above the fold that answers the questions: who are you as a church? What do you do as a church? And why do you do it? How is somebody's life made better if they visit your church, if they get involved in your church community? So you want to be extremely clear with your clarity statement, with your messaging on your church website, particularly above the fold on the homepage. That's a crucial, critical spot on your church website. Another thing that kind of feeds into messaging is your call to action buttons. You want to make sure that you have a good quantity of call to actions. They're everywhere, but also that you have good quality. So by quality, I mean you want a button in the top right corner. That's the obvious button to push. That's where your eye is initially drawn to. When you come to a website, you want to have one above the fold underneath that clarity statement as well. It's a button for plan a visit, I'm new here, what to expect, give online, watch online, something like that. So you want to be able to funnel people into the different pages of your church website from your homepage. We call those lead-ins, but it's a really, really great part of the messaging strategy on your church website. So that's the first part of this 4-part framework. Messaging, make sure that you're extremely clear and that your messaging is helping your church and helping your ministry and not hurting it. So the next part of this 4-part framework is your marketing. So this might be pretty self-explanatory, but you want to make sure that you're implementing good marketing principles on your church website. Some of these would include having the right kinds of photos. You need to have not stock photos or pictures of your church building, but photos of actual happy, smiling people in your church. They're in small groups. There's kids in student ministry or in kids ministry. There's people worshiping in the sanctuary. What that's going to do is, number one, is it takes away the fear of the unknown from a potential church visitors who might be intimidated to visit your church for the first time. Number two, it elicits an emotional response. And so when they see these photos, and they're going to think to themselves, okay, I could see myself worshiping there, or I could see myself getting plugged into a connect group or a small group like this. So you want to make sure that you're implementing the right kinds of photos, but other marketing principles as well. Make sure that you are finding some way to capture email addresses. In the business or the for-profit world, you might hear this being called a lead generator, but really what you're doing there is capturing a name and an email address of somebody who's already interested in your church. You're giving them some sort of value for free in exchange for that information. And then you can just put them into an email follow-up funnel to where you're just inviting them to your church time and time again. If you have a CRM set up for your church, then once they actually visit your church and you find out they visited your church, you can then kind of pivot them from, a lead into somebody who is a first-time visitor, inviting them to visit again. Because again, not everyone who visits for the first time actually takes the time to visit a second time at that church. So at this point, you have very clear messaging on your website. You're implementing good marketing practices on your website as well. The third of the fourth components that I recommend implementing from a strategy perspective on your church website is meaningful experiences. What does this mean? This basically means people are having a great time on your church website and not a bad time. What gives somebody a bad time on a website? When buttons don't work, if text is too small, if the website's not mobile responsive. So you want to make sure your website looks great on a desktop, on a tablet, on a mobile phone. One thing that I'd recommend is just have some of your staff members at your church go through the website on all those different devices, click buttons, make sure there's no broken links. Look at your navigation bar. Is it clear or is it a little bit confusing? If it's using insider language, that might be a little bit difficult for somebody who might not understand that language, who might not be accustomed to some of the terminology that you might use at your church. And so even have your staff try to get inside their own heads and think, if I were a first-time visitor, would I know where to go to plan my visit? Would I know where to go to contact? You'd be surprised how many churches don't have a dedicated contact page. There's not service times. There's not a frequently asked questions section with questions like, what do I do with my kids? How long does the service last? What should I wear when I show up to church on Sunday morning? So you want to make sure that you're just eliminating friction at every turn, and that you are basically making the entire experience for a website visitor a great experience on your church website, so that hopefully they convert from a website visitor to an actual in-person visitor at your church. So here we go. We have this 4-part framework for your church's website strategy. It starts with mission. That's the thing that everything else is pointing towards, hitting these online objectives, hitting these goals. That feeds into your messaging. It's extremely clear. The copy, the content, the clarity statements. You have different buttons that are linking people and funneling people from one page of your website to the next one. From there, you're implementing good marketing practices, look and feel and colors and fonts and follow-up funnels and all of the rest. And then that goes into your meaningful experiences. People are having a great time on your church website and not a bad time. Text isn't too small. It's mobile responsive. There's not broken links or anything like that. And then that then feeds back into your mission. So hopefully if you can nail all of those different components, all of that points towards your mission, helping you hit your online objectives and your online goals as efficiently and as effectively as possible. Well, hopefully this was a helpful video. I know it was a brief overview of each of these 4 different categories or these 4 different parts of the framework. I'd be curious to know, comment down below if I were to make another video kind of breaking down a little bit more in detail one of these 4 buckets: mission, messaging, marketing, meaningful experiences. Which one would you guys as pastors, as church leaders, be the most interested in kind of getting a more in-depth video for? Secondly, I just wanted to say welcome to the channel. If you're a pastor or church leader, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell. I'd love for you to be informed and notified when a new video comes out so that we can continue working on strategy, working on maximizing the impact that your church and that your ministry is having in your local community. Thirdly, perhaps you are in a position where you don't really know what to do in terms of your church website strategy. Perhaps you're having a hard time getting your website off the ground, or maybe your website is built, but it's not actually converting website visitors into actual visitors to your church. Or maybe you actually know how to build a strategy like this, but you don't have the time to do it because you are, rightly so, focusing on shepherding your flock and hitting your other more meaningful missional objectives outside of your church website. And you just want somebody that can kind of guide you through the process, help you build a website that's actually going to help you hit your online objectives and hit those missional objectives. Either way, I'm going to include a link in the description where you as a pastor or you as a church leader can sign up for a free strategy session with me or somebody on our team, where we can kind of look at your specific church website, give you some really good feedback and some strategy principles so that you can continue reaching new people in your community and hitting your other online objectives as well. And lastly, we have a free training manual all about the things that you want to make sure including as a church leader and as a pastor on your church homepage. It's called the Blueprint for the Perfect Church Homepage. I'm going to include a link for that as well, so you can click that, download that free resource, that free PDF resource as well. Hopefully that will be a tool in your toolkit that can again help you reach new people in your community. Well, that's it for this video. Hopefully this was helpful. Remember, you can't use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have. Stay creative, and we'll catch you next time.